Are you looking to play your wild card for Game Week 21? Then here is the best draft you can build. Let's get into it.
Yo, listen up, Rue is stepping up the game. Where Fantasy Premier League runs in his veins. From transfers to captains, he's always on top. Guiding you through every game week non-stop. They say Rue got that Salah flow. Welcome to the channel, enjoy the show. Wild cards, free hits with so much vibe. If you're hunting for success, then make sure you subscribe.
Good day, mate. Welcome back to the channel. I'm FPL Root and welcome back to another FPL video. So like I said, in today's video, we're going to be building the best possible wildcard draft you can build. So now we have able to use our second wildcard. A lot of people are looking to rebuild their teams. They have a lot of injuries, a lot of players going off to AFCON or Asia Cup. So potentially it could be a good time to play your wildcard. Ideally, you do want to save it for double game weeks later on in the season, but sometimes that is unavoidable, and your injuries and suspensions and people going off on international duty do pile up. So completely understand why you would want to build it now and play the wild card now. Even if you're not playing your wild card, this is a good video to watch, as it is some of the players you're going to want to target and bring in over the next couple of weeks, especially pre the end of AFCON. So we'll start off in goal. So Areola, I have gone for him, and I've gone for Turner. So a very, very cheap duo. I think Areola is about 4.2 million now, and Turner's still 3.9. So very, very cheap trio, double. Sorry, they both play, they both start. Turner probably not as likely to get a clean sheet as Areola, although Areola did struggle originally early on in the season. He has picked up 3 clean sheets in a row, 11 points against Brighton, as he did get a massive, massive haul. 10 points against Arsenal and 8 points against Manchester United. So really, really good score for Areola. Turner, on the other hand, yeah, not really going to get a clean sheet, but he's always there as backup if Areola does end up missing the game. And Turner should keep his place now, even though he has had a few stingers recently. I do fancy him to actually keep his place. There was a chance to go for David Raya, who actually played on my wildcard last week. I got him in. Kind of regret it. I just think it's a lot of money when you do have the opportunity to go for 2 starting goalkeepers in Turner and Areola. Even Dubravka currently, if Newcastle don't end up signing one of their a new goalkeeper, etc. So I probably regret that now, spending the extra money when I didn't really need to, as I do have Areola on my bench. But there's always a chance for me to drop down to Turner if I do need the money. But obviously, it's not ideal having to use a transfer on a goalkeeper. But for your wild card now, if you are playing it now, then I would go for Turner Areola. And I think the fixtures kind of play out pretty well for both. So Areola has 2 great fixtures up next. So Sheffield United away, Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth are a decent team nowadays, but you got to fancy, I guess, West Ham at home to get maybe not keep a clean sheet, but he should get a few saves in that one. And Sheffield United away, I do fancy him to get a clean sheet in that one. Then he's got Man United away and Arsenal at home, where Turner actually has difficult fixtures coming up now. So Brentford away, Arsenal at home, but then he has Bournemouth away, Newcastle at home. So a little bit better fixtures. You could potentially play Turner in them fixtures. For me, I don't really like playing my substitute keeper when I have a clear number 1, but there is always opportunity to rotate them, and I think they do rotate pretty well over the next few game weeks. So yeah, that's it for the goalkeepers. For me, save the money, go for Turner and Areola. Let's get on to the defense. So I could have gone a few ways with the defense. Obviously, Trent and Porro and Walker, and there's so many options in terms of attacking fullbacks. Maybe not so much Walker, but there are so many options. Clean sheet wise, I really did want to have. I kind of set it up to have 1 Arsenal defender as a minimum, and 1 Man City defender as a minimum, and then the other players are just there for their attacking threat, not really for their team's clean sheet potential. We'll start off with Gabriel. So he is now currently 5 million. Depends when you obviously got him in, unless you already own him. The fixtures for Arsenal do look actually pretty good. Defensive wise, though, no clean sheet in the last 2, which is a little bit of a worry. Last time they kept a clean sheet was game week 17, but I do think they will turn that around. I think their fixtures look okay as well. So Palace at home, Nottingham Forest away. Then they run into Liverpool at home, and then they got West Ham away, Burnley away, Newcastle at home, Sheffield United away, Brentford at home. Then they have Chelsea and City. But so for me, I think Arsenal defender is probably essential. For me, like I said, I went Raya on my wild card. I probably regret that. I should have gone Gabriel. as there was a greater chance of rotating him with another defender. So I think, yeah, an Arsenal defender is a must-have. I got Gusto in there, who would be starting in game week 21. Really just for his price, 4.2 million now. He's very, very attacking. I'd say he's as attacking as Reece James, and I think he is a very, very good player. There is a bit of worry about rotation, but he started the last 3 games in a row. Yeah, I think he's fixed there in a right back spot for Chelsea. Clean sheet wise, I don't think that's going to happen. To be honest, they could potentially speak a few Chelsea clean sheets. They did keep a few earlier on in the season, but really you want him for his attacking threat. 3 assists so far this season, and he's started 9 games, so not too bad. Attacking return every 3 games, and there is always a chance of Chelsea clean sheets. They were okay at the start of the season, like I said. Obviously, recently they haven't been great, but the fixtures do look pretty good for them. Fulham at home. Then they got Liverpool away, Wolves at home, Palace away, and then they run into City and Spurs. So a couple of tough fixtures. Then Brentford and Newcastle, Arsenal. So some really tough fixtures in there. For me, Gusto, 4.2 million, so attacking. Chelsea, not too bad defensively, and he's only 4.2 million. So for me, he was a must-have on this wildcard draft. A little bit of a wildcard pick on this wildcard draft is Purvis Estupinan. Brighton kept their first clean sheet of the season after 20 game weeks. So who knows? Could that be a sign of things to come? Could they now become a solid defensive team? Estupinan has only started 7 games this season. As we know, he did get injured early on in the season, but he's got 2 goals, 3 assists in them 7 games. So really, really attacking from him. Like I said, I'm not too confident of the Brighton clean sheets, but I think their fixtures are good enough for them to get clean sheets. So Wolves at home, Luton away, Palace at home. Then they've got Spurs away, which is going to be a tough game. I fancy Spurs to score on that one. Then they've got Sheffield United away, Everton at home, Fulham away, Forest at home. So some really, really good fixtures for Brighton for potential clean sheets if they do decide to go on a run and be a little bit more solid. However, you're not really getting Estupinan for them clean sheets. You're looking at the attacking returns. And like I said, 5 returns and 7 starts for him. I think for under 5 million, it's only 4.9 million now. I think it's a real bargain and could be a nice differential over some people that don't have the, I guess, transfers to make a defensive transfer right now and not have the funds to even get him in, to be honest. So Estupinan, I think, is a real nice pick on this wild card. On the bench this game week, potentially could have a chance of starting, but on the bench is Pedro Porro. Again, not really in for his team's defensive capabilities and his team's clean sheet possibilities, but started 19 games this season, 7 assists. So really, you're there for his attacking returns. He scored an absolute beauty in the FA Cup against Burnley on Friday evening for UK time. And he was due that, to be honest. And who knows, could this be a start of things to come for him? Next 2 fixtures are not the easiest, though, which is why I've probably benched him. But I do think he is a good player to have for the season. The reason I've gone for him is obviously his attacking returns. And Van der Ven is actually back from injury. So he was on the bench for the FA Cup game. And I think Ben Davies actually went off injured. So he looks like he might have to start straight away. He might have to come in, which is not ideal for him, but it can only be good things for the defence as a whole. But he will just be on the bench for Man United away, which could backfire, as we know how attacking he can be. Then Brentford at home, who are actually really struggling at the moment. Everton away, Brighton at home, Wolves away, Chelsea away, Wolves at home, sorry, Chelsea away, Palace at home, Villa away, Fulham away, Luton at home, West Ham away, Forest at home. So to be honest, it's almost like Spurs don't really have that many bad fixtures before game week 33. There is always a chance they do blank in game week 26, though. So they got Chelsea away, and Chelsea, if they beat Middlesbrough in the Carabao Cup semi-final 2-legged tie, then that game will be a blank, as Chelsea will play the Carabao Cup final on that day. So this is the reason why I have gone for a strong defence, as I am pretty much banking on Chelsea beating Middlesbrough, and Gusto and Pedro Porro will have a blank. However, with them having a blank, it means they will have a double game week, and potentially that could be before game week 26. So for me, I think it was a no-brainer having 2 players from that fixture, as I do fancy Chelsea to actually get through that game, even though they've been terrible this season. Walker, another player that I think is probably, maybe not a player, but I think Man City is a defence that I do want to target, and I think he is a must-have alongside Gabriel. I've benched him for his Newcastle away fixture. Not ideal, but I don't think Walker's going to hurt you that much. I don't think his attacking threat is that great. So I don't, even if he gets 6 points, I do fancy the other three that are starting to actually match that. But after that, their fixtures do look pretty good. So Burnley at home, Brentford away, Everton at home, Chelsea at home, Bournemouth away. Then they run into some tough fixtures in game week 27, United at home, Liverpool away, Brighton away, Arsenal at home, Villa at home. So some tough fixtures from game week 27 onward. But up until there, really, it's only Chelsea at home and maybe Newcastle away could give them a bit of a worry. And I think City might not seem like a good defensive team, but the stats actually say that they are a really good defensive team. When it comes to the crunch time of the season, I can see them grinding out these 1-0s, 2-0s, the business end of the season. I think Walker is going to be a good pick. And for 5.4 million, it is a little bit expensive considering you're not really getting none attacking threat from him. He's only got 1 assist all season in 19 starts. But I think that clean sheet potential is high for Man City. And I think Man City defender is essential in this wildcard draft. That was it for the defenders. It is very strong. However, don't forget Gusto is only 4.2 million. The others are 5 million or above. Well, West Stupid's 4.9, but I think it is crucial to have a variety of defenders and the ability to kind of rotate some, or especially with that potential blank in game week 26 with Gusto and Pedro Porro could be missing that game week. I think it's important to have a variety of players that if one of them gets injured, you don't need to run out and make the transfer straight away. You've got enough on the bench to cover that. Let's move on to the midfield now. So next up, the midfield, probably a little bit template, but I think a lot of people might, I guess, see this as template, but really not many people have this midfield. I think it is a very solid midfield, and it kind of leaves money in the midfield in order to maybe get Salah or Son back a little bit easier. So we'll start off with Saka. Now currently 9 million, but I'm sure a lot of you have him in your teams already. He is nearly 60% owned, so you probably got him for a lot cheaper. Yes, probably a mixed season in terms of performance, but in terms of GNA goals and assists, he actually has been pretty solid this season. 6 goals, 8 assists. You do expect more from Saka, maybe a few more goals, but he hasn't been as bad as people kind of make out, and I think he is a solid player to have in your team. He does tick it on nicely, and I think Arsenal's fixtures do look actually pretty good, as I mentioned with Gabriel. I won't go through all of them, but Palace at home, Forest away, Liverpool at home, West Ham away, Burnley away. So Liverpool at home is obviously a little bit tough, but other than that, I do fancy Saka to get a few returns in that time frame. You could argue maybe go for someone like an Odegaard, but for me, I think Saka is just nailed, and they don't really have a replacement for him, and he should be on penalties. So for me, Saka is the player to go for. Next up, we'll talk about Palmer. So now 5.6 million, but again, I'm sure a lot of you actually got him in for a bit cheaper than that. I think it's a no-brainer to have him in on your wild card. So cheap on penalties. Yes, Chelsea not the best team out there, but he is doing so well this season. 8 goals, 5 assists. Yeah, for that price point, I don't think you can go wrong. Even if he gets a return every three games, you're still looking good, to be honest, from someone of that price. And Chelsea's fixtures are not bad, I'd say, over the next 4. Fulham at home, Liverpool away, Wolves at home, Palace away. Then they do run to a few touch fixtures and a potential blank in 26. But like I said, with this team, you have the bench. You've just wildcarded. You have the bench there. If someone gets injured, if someone gets suspended, you don't need to rush out to make that transfer straight away. So yeah, for me, I think Palmer is essential, especially at that price point. I can't see too many players even getting anywhere near his numbers. If you're even comparing him to a, say, 5.5 million forward or 5.5 million defender, no one's getting near him. So for me, he is essential in our teams for that price point. Phil Foden comes in as well. A lot of popularity in him recently. To about 21% owned, 7.8 million now too. He's actually smashed it the last, I'd say, 3 game weeks. He got an assist against Palace in 17, goal against Everton in 19, and 2 assists against Sheffield United in game week 20. So far this season, 5 goals, 6 assists, started 17 games. Earlier on the season, there were question marks about him. Should he be doing more? He's not young anymore. He's still obviously young, but he's not a baby anymore. He should be kind of stepping up into De Bruyne's, I guess, shoes while he's injured and being the main guy. He didn't really show that early on in the season, but the last 3 game weeks he has been delivering, and I think a lot of people are bringing him into the teams because of that. And at 7.8 million, yeah, it does look really, really good to double up on that Man City attack with obviously Alvarez or Haaland, depending on whether you think Haaland's going to be back or not. Yeah, for me, really, he's just a placeholder, probably until City's double game weeks, the Brentford double game week, because they missed during the Club World Cup, is done. But after that, probably don't need him. But for now, I think he is a good player. And hopefully City's double game weeks get announced very, very soon, and we can capitalize on that. Next up, we've got Jarrod Bowen. So I've seen a lot of people talk on Twitter about he's not on penalties, he's not on set pieces, he's not on free kicks, he's not on this, he doesn't play this. He gets goals. Like, what? You don't need to know where they come from. He just gets goals. Like, that's enough for me. 11 goals, 2 assists this season for a West Ham side that, to be honest, isn't very attacking. I wouldn't say any David Moyes side is attacking. And with the fixtures coming up for West Ham, I think Bowen could actually be a really, really good option, especially while Salah and Son are off to AFCON and Asia Cup. So Sheffield United away, Bournemouth at home, Man United away, Arsenal at home. Yes, Man United away, Arsenal at home. Not too easy, but Man United away shouldn't be a hard fixture for West Ham, to be honest. Then Nottingham Forest away, Brentford at home, Everton away, Burnley at home. So some really, really good fixtures in there. You can probably hold him until game week 29, but to be honest, when Salah and Son back, you can definitely move him on. He's now 8.1 million, nearly 33% owned. So a lot of popularity in Jarrod Bowen. Yes, he's not on penalties. Yes, he's not on set pieces, free kicks, etc. But he gets goals, and he is West Ham's main man, especially now. Kudos is off to AFCON. Antonio is not the Antonio we kind of knew from years ago, and I think Jarrod Bowen is probably West Ham's biggest threat, and I can see him getting a few more goals this season and kind of ended up on potentially 20 goals. Maybe not, but potentially 20 goals. I think he can definitely get 16, 17 goals. So for me, I think Jarrod Bowen is a really good pick on the wild card. Next up, Richarlison. It is a tough one, Richarlison, as he's playing up front for Spurs, a very attacking team. He's only 6.9 million. He's only 7.7% owned. But it is Richarlison at the end of the day. And for me, it was tough to put him in, but he has been delivering, to be honest, the last probably since game week 16. 2 goals against Newcastle, goal against Forest, goal against Everton, blank against Brighton, goal against Bournemouth. So, so 5 goals in the last 5 games. That takes him up to 6 goals, 3 assists this season in only 12 starts. So 9 returns in 12 starts is pretty good for a midfielder that's playing up front. Don't forget he's getting that extra point over strikers and only 6.9 million. I think this pick is probably, again, only until Son is back. I'd much rather Son on pens. Richarlison could be on pens now that Son's off to Asia Cup. So that is one to take into consideration and keep an eye on. You could go for maybe, like I said, an Odegaard, a few other players around that price point. But for me, I can't see any other ones that are playing up front for such an attacking team like Spurs. And for me, it's a little bit of a punt, but yeah, I can't see many players around that price point. You could argue Anthony Gordon, 6.1 million, a little bit cheaper. 6 goals, 7 assists this season, but I kind of want to stay clear of Newcastle. 3 losses in a row, Luton and Nottingham Forest in that as well. So not just Liverpool. They've lost 5 in the last 6 as well, which is not great. For me, I would be staying clear of Newcastle at the moment, and with Man City and Villa away next, I can't see them doing that well. So Gordon is probably a no-go for me. Other than that, you're struggling. You could go Bernardo Silva. Again, I prefer Foden. You could even go Kulusevski from Spurs, but I think he's a bit more of a creator rather than someone that's going to put the ball in the back of the net. Other than that, I think Richarlison is probably the best option out there for around his price point. So for me, that is the midfield. A lot of strength in there, a lot of starters, a lot of players kind of playing that position, especially with Bowen and Richarlison. For me, it's probably the best midfield you can build at the moment without gambling on De Bruyne's fitness. So for me, yeah, I can't really see too many other options. But let me know in the comments section below, and we'll move on to the forwards. So finally, we've got the forwards. We'll talk about the bench first. So Solanke is on the bench. He now is 7.1 million. And I actually love him. I think he's such a good player. 12 goals, 1 assist for Bournemouth, considering they didn't win until game week 10. They only won one until game week 12. And then they went on a massive unbeaten run. And then they lost last time out against Spurs away. For me, the fixtures are not great for Solanke, which is why I got him on the bench in game week 21, Liverpool at home. Then they got West Ham away. But after that, not too bad. Forest at home, Fulham away, Newcastle away. And then they got City, and then Burnley away, Sheffield United at home, Wolves away, Everton at home, Palace at home, Luton away. And don't forget, obviously their game got called off because Tom Lockyer did collapse. Hopefully he's all good now. What we've heard, he's all good now. But that was obviously a sad time for Luton fans. But that game did get called off. So Solanke is due a double game week soon, where that game will get rescheduled. So I really did want him in my team and not have to stress about having to bring him in at a later stage. So Solanke's in there. Ollie Watkins, 8.9 million now, which is ridiculous. 5.4, well, 45% owned. 45% owned, which is ridiculous. 9 goals, 11 assists. It's the assist for me. I don't actually rate Ollie Watkins as an FPL option if it was just the goals. I don't think he scores enough. He doesn't score basically more than 1 goal ever. He did score against Fulham. Sorry, not against Fulham, against Brighton at home, where he got 3 goals, 2 assists. But other than that, he hasn't actually scored more than 1 goal in a game. But coupled with the assists, I do think he's a really good option. And he's a player that you can probably keep for most of the season and play every week. He doesn't really discriminate who he scores against. He can score against big teams, small teams, teams playing well, teams in form. He doesn't really, discriminate. His form of late hasn't been great. Only 2 assists and a goal since game week 14. So 6 game weeks is a goal and 2 assists is probably not good enough. But for me, the lack of strikers this season, I just think Ollie Watkins is a player to have in there. And like I said, these fixtures over the next few game weeks are actually really good. Everton away, Newcastle at home, Sheffield United away, Man United at home, Fulham away, Forest at home, Luton away. So some really good fixtures in there. Again, Man United and Newcastle, you could argue that they're not easy fixtures, but they're both at home, and we know how solid and Aston Villa are at home. So for me, Watkins is in there. Next up, I've gone for Erling Haaland. So it is a bit of a risk, but I do think that that with the news that Pep's come out saying he's back in training, he's in contention, probably too soon for the FA Cup game. This has been filmed before that, and it will come out before that as well. But or around that time, I'd say. But for me, I'm just putting him in my team. I think the rest of the squad can cope. If he doesn't play, I don't think he'll come on. Even if he does come on, you could argue against a tired Newcastle defence who have a lot of injuries. It couldn't be a bad thing. Solanke's always there to come off the bench with Liverpool at home. For me, I think it's time to bring back Haaland. It's time to get him in your team, especially if you're on the wild card. You don't want to be playing the transfer later down the line for someone like Haaland. You don't want to be scrambling for the money. For me, Haaland is in the team, and hopefully you can kind of get in with this wild card before everyone else does get in. Because if there's not a clarity on, let's say he doesn't play in the FA Cup, he doesn't get any minutes in the FA Cup, then a lot of people are going to be a bit wary about bringing him in. But if you've got him in the wild card, you kind of don't need to worry. You know he's going to come back eventually. You've got a good enough squad to kind of carry him through. So for me, Haaland is probably a must in this wild card. You could wait, but it's just going to make your life a lot easier by having Haaland in. Let me know what you think of this wild card below. Please make sure you do subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 2,000 subs before the end of the season. I think we can get there. We've got 1,100 so far, nearly. So we can definitely get there. I do appreciate all the support you give and appreciate all the love in the comments. So yeah, leave your comments in the comment section below. Rate this draft, rate this wild card, and good luck for the game week. Catch you in the next video.